So yeah, Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph on the bottom. So you focus, then you are totally. That's what you're doing. Okay. Finishing off the last piece on perek in perek Aleph. The Mishnah mentioned a few things. And the Mishnah and Daf Tes mentioned a few things. Categorized them in different categories. Which are the things that the Torah speaks? Not that take. Sorry, Daf Yud Amud Aleph. Certain things that the certain things the halachas are literally flying in the air. There's nothing that can hold them down on the ground. Then the Gemarrah explains what it is. And a little bit better than that, the Hilchos Shabbos, Chagiga, like mountains suspended by a hair. A few psukim, a lot of halachas. And then it says, Choshe Mishpat halachas of monetary laws, avoiding the Beis Hamikdash, Taharas and Tumas, and aloyos yesh lamashes moichu. There are psukim. It's not that clear. Certain halachas there is not that clear, but we can rely on a certain pasuk. And then the Mishnah finishes off v'hein hein gufa shtar. So holding by explaining why aloyos is considered something that there is not. It's not so clear the psukim, but yesh lamashes moichu. We can rely on a few psukim. The Kriyas HaTorah on Yom Kippur by Mincha is a whole thing about aloyos. Speaks at length, explains. So that's pshat. Yesh lamashes moichu. There is something they can rely on, but there's no real good psukim. So the Gemarrah is going to find a specific case and say this case is not that clear, and therefore it says yesh lamashes moichu on that case, and the rest obviously is clear. And then the Gemarrah is going to finish that what does it mean that only these three items are gufei Torah? These are essential pieces in the Torah. So the last line of Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph aloyos. So the Gemarrah asks a question. Michta Ksivan. It says clearly all the halachas who is considered an elbow, forbidden marriage. And but the Gemarrah Nitzachah that this Mishnah is only needed for a specific case. Lebitoi me'anusosai. It's talking about the daughter of a woman that he forcefully had a relationship with, and a daughter was born. Or the Gemarrah can also be talking about, the Mishnah can also be talking about a consensual kind, that he convinced someone out of wedlock to have a relationship with him, and a child was born. In any case, that child is not his wife's child, because he never married a woman. So how do we know that he cannot have a relationship with that woman, with the girl? We know the halacha says that a person is not supposed to marry a wife and her daughter, even though this is not his daughter, it's her daughter from different marriage. Isha bita, a woman and her daughter is not allowed.
That's a clear pasuk.
That's a clear pasuk. Yeah. Then there's another pasuk that says, Bas benoi or Bas bitoi, the daughter of his son or the daughter of his is also not allowed. That's to say that this is talking about. Say that this is talking about your actual grandchild. It's not even a question. We know this from a different pasuk that it says. It says in a different pasuk. It says already that it brings down already that the daughter of his daughter or the daughter of her son is not allowed. So this pasuk when it says Elvas bas binche bas bitcha, they're talking about the daughter of your son, daughter of your daughter. What is it talking about? It's talking about your daughter, your anical, from a daughter that is not through marriage. Talking about oinus and mefata. So here the pasuk is speaking about the grandchild, that a person is not allowed to have a relationship, physical relationship with his grandchild, with his granddaughter, even though the grandmother is not his wife. What about the daughter itself? If he was ma'anas, a woman, and a child was born, where is that? This is what the Gemarrah says, that it's considered yesh lamashes moichu. It's not a clear pasuk. You have to learn it from Gezeirah Shava, because the pasuk doesn't speak clearly about it. This pasuk speaks about a woman and her daughter, even though it's not his daughter. The pasuk speaks about a granddaughter, either through his son or a daughter. And we said that this means a grandchild of a woman that he either raped or he did it mefata. He convinced her to do it. But what about the daughter itself? This is a Gezeirah Shava. The like Sivad. Amali Abitzchak ב-א.ב-י. Ab Yitzchak ב-א.ב-י said, Asya heina heina, Asya zima zima. There's 3 psukim. If you look on the side, if you have the psukim on the side, there's 3 psukim. First pasuk says, "Evas isha bito lesigale," a woman and her daughter she should not marry. As bas beno, and here the pasuk says clearly that her child was bas bito, so the daughter's child, that is daughter's daughter. Lesigach legale. Also shalahena zimohi. It says shalahena. This is considered shadow, and zimohi is considered znus. So basically, here in this first pasuk, it covers the woman, her daughter, and the daughter's daughter, and the daughter's or the son of the daughter's daughter or the son's daughter. So we have a woman that he married, and could be the children are not his; they are her children. However, because he's married to this woman, her grandchildren, her granddaughters, whether it's from a son or a daughter, is off limits for her. So now we know if a woman's grandchildren that it's not his physical children is off limits for her, for sure his own children as well. Okay? His own grandchildren as well. So therefore, comes the next pasuk and says, Evas bas bitcha, bas binucha, bas bitcha lesigala gavasun kevasun. Talking about it again, it says here this almost a similar thing, that the daughter of your son or the daughter of your daughter, your granddaughter basically, from either son or daughter, you should not have a relationship with. Why? Here on this we said that here the pshat is we're talking about a grandchild of a mefuta or a anusa. We're talking about a grandchild, a granddaughter of a woman that was either coerced, or a woman that was convinced to be with him, but this woman is not his wife. So the grandchild of that relationship that is not his wife is also not allowed. So how do we know that the daughter that is born from an illicit relationship, how do we know that that is allowed? So it comes the next pasuk, it says, "V'ish ashiyikach es isha ves ima zima." If a person marries again a wife and a daughter, so he marries the wife and then he marries her mother. So his wife is a woman and a daughter. Be'esh yisoif. What's the punishment? The punishment is you have to burn in fire. Zak the Gemarrah here, א.ב-י says in the name of א.ב-י. But in the first 2 psukim, you have the word heina. It appears in the first 2 psukim. This is coming to teach you that just like in the first pasuk, it's talking about the woman and her daughter, that this is not allowed. Therefore, the second pasuk, where it only talks about a grandchild, and we're talking about a grandchild from a case of rape or a case of a illicit relationship, that it doesn't only include a grandchild, but also because of Gzeira Shava, because the first pasuk speaks about the daughter itself, the second pasuk also speaks about the daughter itself, but not only the grandchild. That's the first Gzeira Shava. So that the fact that you're not allowed to have that relationship is from the Gzeira Shava Heina Heina. How do we know that the punishment for such a relationship is sleifa? You have to burn them. So here's the second Gzeira Shava of Zimo Zimo. In the first pasuk it says Zimohi, and the third pasuk where it says the punishment Be'esh Yisoif, what does it say right before that? It says Zimohi. So we have a double Gzeira Shava here. Number one is to come to teach you that your daughter from an illegal relationship is also also because of a Gzeira Shava, just like your granddaughter and just like your real daughter or your wife's daughter. And the second thing is coming to teach you, Zimo Zimo is coming to teach you that the punishment for having a relationship with a daughter that is not through marriage, the punishment will be sleifa. So the Gemarrah, Asya Heina Heina, Asya Zimo Zimo. Now the Mishnah finishes off, Heina and Gufa Torah. These are the essential things of the Torah. For the Gemarrah, these last few items, the 4 things that he mentioned, these only, and the rest of the Mishnah is not. Hani'in, Hanachloid, the last 4 things are the essential things in the Torah, and the rest is not. These all, it covers the basics of a Yid's life, whether it's momentus, whether it's money, all different halachas, Shabbos, Yontif, Tumah, Tahala. All of them are considered essentials in the Torah. It doesn't make a difference what the source is, where they come from. They all, if they have a pasuk or they have not such a good pasuk, or the pasuk is hidden, all of that is considered essential of the Torah. Hadron Allah, Hakol Chayav. Comes the second perek. The second perek is a whole different perek. The second perek speaks a lot about the Maase bereshis, Maase Merkava, Maase bereshis, the creation of the world, and what happened. Necheskel ben Buzi HaKohen had 2 visions. He had a vision, and he saw the Merkava. What we read this on Shavuos. The Maftoid on Shavuos reads all about this, and this is the next couple pages that we're going to discuss what he saw, or what you should ask, what not to ask, what can you teach, what can't you teach. So we'll see. On the Haftarah, the first day of Shavuos is in Echeskel, and it says here it was in the 30th year, the 4th month, and the 5th day of the month. I was in Kval, the heavens opened, and I saw a divine vision, and it goes through exactly what it saw at the Mus, and the Gemarrah is going to cover a lot of these things that are being said here. Okay, Zakt the Mishnah. We just finished speaking about Adoyas. The Mishnah first says, when it comes to halachas, teaching which relationships are forbidden on a person to have and which not, a teacher cannot teach this to more than 2 students. 3 students, out. You cannot teach it to more than 1 student. You should not teach Adoyas to 3 people. Bishloisha, in a group of 3, teacher 1, students 2. Only way a teacher can teach Adoyas, the halachas of א.ב-י, is one-on-one with the student. And the teacher cannot teach Maase bereshis to a teacher and 1 student. Yeah, the teacher and a student. Just he can learn them himself. But Maase merkava, which is much more than Maase bereshis, beyachid, a person himself is not supposed to learn. What is Maase bereshis? Maase bereshis is the first psukim in the Torah. There's a machlekes if it means the first few psukim, if it's the whole creation, it is what exactly happened there. That's Maase bereshis, and the depth how it happened. So Tosfos says right here, in Deutsche Maase bereshis, Pirush Rabbeinu Tam, Ushem Mem Beis Oisius. This is the Hashem, the Abish's name of Mem Beis Oisius. Hayoytz in bereshis and pasuk shlachov. The pasuk bereshis bo lakim shmaim v'sa'aretz ve'aretz hoysa soyu v'avoyu v'uch lakim. So you don't take the whole pasuk. Just hayoytz hoysa soyu v'avoyu. The first 2 letters of avoyu with the first pasuk bereshis bo, and the second pasuk until the first 2 letters of avoyu is exactly 42 letters. Somehow those letters make up the Shem Abish's name. If you look in Kabbalah, I looked it up, B'shaita, and it's very, I don't understand it.
Talking, you're 40 already. You're
but I don't have a teacher. No one wanted to sit down with me face to face and teach it to me. So I had to kind of to learn by yourself. Couldn't figure it out, obviously, but it's something Kabbalah speaks about it, and this is what the Rebbeinu Tam is talking about. The Shem and Besoises. That's what the Rebbeinu Tam is talking about.
These are the names of Hashem, is that what it is?
No, the Hashem has names in different ways, different combinations of Hashem's name.
It's like Sefer Yetzirah stuff with the
so you
like
but that's Maase Merkava. But in the names of the Eibishter, there's different ways you spell Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, and if you spell it in certain ways, the Gematria could come out to be Mem Beis, it could come out to be Ayin Beis, it could be 72, 42, different ways of making the writing the Hashem's name. And then there's a way to do it with a there's a what's it called?
Be careful, it's on video.
Yeah, what is it when they in World War II they figured out the Enigma. Thank you, the Enigma machine. So Enigma machine has certain cheshbonos how it jumps. So
mathematical calculation.
So there's like 5.
That's called
Maase bereshis.
That's called Maase bereshis.
There's many different ways you can do this. The most famous one with changing letters is Ad-Bash. We change the Aleph for the Taf and the base of the Shin. Then there's something called where you change the Aleph for the Ches. You jump 7 letters. Then there's a way you jump 13 letters. Then there's like multiple different ways to do it, and basically somehow combining all of them or many of them. If you look in the pasuk of bereshis bara, somehow that makes the Abish's name with all those combinations of coding, etc.
Take your word for it.
So it's I couldn't figure it myself, but this is what I saw. This is what it said. That if there's 15, I don't know, many different
ways. That's what they're
ways.
referring to.
Because bereshis bara lakim shemaim v'sa'aretz doesn't say Yud-Ke Vav-Ke in there. It doesn't say even how does it end up the Abish's name, which name of the Abishter. So you have to start flipping names and oisias and switching it with this and that, and somehow so understanding that and knowing that a teacher is not supposed to teach a student. He's supposed to learn himself. A teacher is not supposed to teach someone. He has to learn himself. Merkava is what we just said, Yecheskel, the whole vision of Yecheskel. That I woke up and I had a dream and I saw a chariot and I saw the Musa Adam and I saw the Kisei, I saw the chair, and it was carried by 4 visions. I saw an Adam, I saw Adiyah,
Maase and
Merkava. All these different things.
And that's known as a Kabbalah.
Yeah, so this, a person himself is not supposed to learn. Only if he was very smart and he can stand by himself, no one has to tell him anything. And the Maase is going to ask right away, if a person could learn by himself, obviously it's a person that can understand by himself. So what do you say? Only if he can understand himself. If you sit by yourself, if you have the ability to sit, just to open up a sefer and learn, it means that you can read something and understand what goes on. So why does it say that such a person should not learn? B'yochid, he shouldn't learn. But if he's smart, he can learn. It doesn't make sense. It's oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. That's what the Gemara is going to ask. Okay, call him a stakel. Now, if a person has permission to learn, he's learning Maase Merkava, he's learning Maase bereshis, he understands what goes on, he can learn. And now he says, call him a stakel, whoever contemplates on these 4 things, Lotsuloi, which means like he should be Lotsuloi, Ki'iduloi boy la'olam, it's better that you should have never been born. What are these 4 things? Mala, Maila, Malamata, what's higher, what's lower? There's different explanations of what exactly this means. We're going to go with the Pashata. So 2 different, summarize it in 2 different ones. There was a Mari Yecheskel saw a vision. Yecheskel saw a vision. He saw a chariot. He saw, it says here, okay, I saw a big wind, and inside there was Noigal Esavif, Ken Chashmal Meteichosh. I saw Chashmal, some electricity, which is the Taichet. Inside of it was a Dmus א.ב-Chayes. What are these 4 animals? There was an Adam, there was a Shoid, etc., etc. And then he saw Malachim, and he saw straight, he saw Degel Ishoda, he saw feet, and then he saw wings, and etc. And then he saw, basically he's going higher and higher, and basically he saw the chariot, he saw the kisei, v'dmus Adam ala kisei. He reached the Lakia, and on top of the Lakia, what do I see? I saw some kind of stone, and I saw a vision of a chair. On top of the chair, I saw the vision Adam, which is the Eibush Adam ul Elyon, etc., etc. So basically, what is above that? Mala Maila, what is above that? That is like, okay, stop. Yecheskel only spoke to a certain degree. After that, there was no permission for him to speak about. So what is above that? Mala Maila, can't talk about it. So that is according to one pshat. The Malamata would be the same thing. What carried this entire vision that he saw? What carried this chariot that he saw? It wasn't something. So this is a very not a question to ask, because the Eibishter can carry himself. The Adam is also carried itself. So definitely the Eibishter. But this idea of understanding what's higher than what Yecheskel saw, what's lower than what Yecheskel saw, that is considered a pekadosis, and rather he should not be born. A different shot is that it's Maase bereshis. We're talking about Maase bereshis. What's beyond the world? And what's l'mala ma'ila ma'amata, what's above, what's beyond, ma'alifanim, ma'la'achen, what was before the world was created, ma'la'achen, what's going to be after the world was created. Other pshat in that is also, could be, there's the world has its borders, what's beyond those borders? Okay, let's see, the Gemarrah is going to discuss this in more detail. Mizrach Ma'irav, what's beyond Mizrach? What's beyond Ma'irav? Where does Mizrach end? What is Ma'irav? So what's beyond all these? How far do you go? The galaxy, how far is NASA going to go and try to dig in? So, the next line is either a summary of what you said before. In the Gemarrah, Maase Merkava, the vision of Yecheskel, it has a nickname, and it's called in many places Kvod Koinoi, the honor of the Eibishter. So the Gemarrah says, whoever does not have kavod, who does not have, he doesn't honor the kavod of the Eibishter, again, he's the person that should not be created. It's a summary of what we just said before, because if you ask this question, he showed that you're dishonoring the Eibishter's presence, or it's a separate thing, and it's basically talking about that. It's basically the same thing. It's a summary. Let's keep with that.
It bothers me that I don't care to have these questions. See what I'm saying? You don't sleep in the sukkah because it bothers you that it bothers the Rebbe about the sukkah issues, right? I don't even have these shilas below. What's above,
What?
what's below? I'm just trying to stay in my lane and do the right thing. I don't know.
Let's say the Gemarrah. Maybe then you'll have questions.
It's not shock to the person, you could say. You know, that's what it says in the I've done it before.
Okay.
Let's say it doesn't bother you. Doesn't bother a person how a rocket ship works because you know. You get what I'm saying? Like it's not.
So,
there's no shaykhs to your being.
So the Rambam
and who you
actually explains
that
this.
You don't even think about this.
Speak to some people, most people, not some, most people, I guess 99% of the Jewish population at all. To talk to them about Maase Merkava, explain Maase Merkava is like explaining to a blind person, blind from birth. That's what I'm right. That it's explain to him what light is, explain to him what color is, explain to him. Can't. He never saw it. It's a vision they never saw. Maase Merkava for these people is the same thing. For us, Maase Merkava in essence, we're not sitting, we're not spending hours upon hours sitting and learning Torah and Kabbalah. For us, Maase Merkava, it doesn't enter my mind. It doesn't interest me. Can relate to. So the Gemarrah. So the Gemarrah asks this question. We said before that you should not teach aloyos. You should not teach the halachas of א.ב-י to two students. B'shloisha means two students, a teacher, and two students is three. Maase bereshis b'shnayim. You shouldn't teach Maase bereshis to one student. He and the student, the teacher and the student, or two. And Merkava, he shouldn't learn himself either. But then you could learn it if you're smart. So the Gemarrah that a person by himself should not learn Maase Merkava. And then they only said only if he's smart and wise and he can learn by himself. So it doesn't make sense. If a person sits and is able to learn by himself, he is obviously a person that is a chacham, a wise person who maybe understands things just from a few words. So what does it mean that you say in the beginning, if you have the ability to learn yourself, don't learn Maase Merkava. But if you have the ability to learn yourself, learn Maase Merkava. It doesn't make sense. So everything about that, you change the entire, change a letter in the Mishnah, and everything changes. Instead of saying bishloisha in a group of three, you say lishloisha 2, 3. So now we're 4 people. So do not teach the concepts, the halachas of א.ב-י, lishloisha 2, 3 people. So there's a teacher plus 3, and the same thing with Maase bereshis lishnayim. Don't teach Maase bereshis to 2 students, but you could teach Maase bereshis to 1 student. However, Maase Merkava is such deep things that a person should not teach a student at all. Do not teach a person at all, unless that student is very wise and very smart and understands. You tell him a line and he can read between the lines. You tell him he's a chacham, or maybe he spent many years learning Torah and he can understand by himself a lot of things. So the teacher's job here is just to direct him in the right way, but not to teach him. So again, otherwise he can teach to 3 students, not more than 3. Maase bereshis teaches only to 2.
He can't teach 3.
Sorry, not 3. He can only teach 2. Otherwise, he should teach not 3. He should only teach. Correct. Thanks for the correction. You should not teach it to 3 students, only to 2 students. Maase bereshis, you should only teach it to 1 student, not 2. And Maase Merkava, you could teach it to 1, but that is only if the Talmud is very wise and understands on his own. So now everything is working out well. Obviously, the teacher himself can sit and learn if he understands himself. That's not a question. So now the question is, why not? Why can't you teach others for only 2? In Maase bereshis only 1, and Merkava no 1 unless he's very smart.
Wouldn't a person always say they're very smart?
What?
Wouldn't a person say they're very smart? Like it's bias.
That it says on himself that he's smart.
You have to be capable to
so
learn.
Chacham maybe medayt. What's a Chacham maybe medayt? Is a Chacham. It's going to zaken zishakona Chachma. He's a guy who sat and learned. A teacher, when he sits down with a student, he has to make sure that his student is worthy.
Yeah, but I'm learning that
No, the student,
himself.
the
Saying
teacher himself. Okay, yeah, yes.
It's a dangerous area.
It is a dangerous area, but what do we say? That we learn א.ב-י we learn according to, you judge yourself. I'm not learning stuff. So yeah, saying you judge yourself. Even this is the concept of putting on fourth film. You don't decide on your own. You have to till nun base. That's the but maybe later also after the base speak to mashpia. Whether you do it or not, these are the things that you maybe someone else taught. Why shouldn't you teach aloyas to more than 2 students? My time. So the Gemarrah is going to try to bring it from a pasuk. The Gemarrah is going to end up that it's a logical explanation, but the pasuk is trying to say that we can take a pasuk and play around with the words, and the body count is going to end up 3. Let's see. Because it says ish a kol shei b'sodei. It says by the halachas when the Torah speaks about the aloyas, by the elvas. What does the Torah say? Ish a person a kol shei b'sodei. Lo yikhav or legales elva should not get closer to a person that is closely related to him to have a relationship. So if we take the body count here instead of teaching it simple teach, ish is one person. Ish is another person. Kol she'er b'sari, we talk about a third person, and for these 3 people, the Torah says, "Leisikalavu, don't get together." Ish ishtei, she'er b'sari chad, together it's 3. V'amar achmana, the Torah says, "Leisikalavu, 3 people should not get together." Legalis erba, to get revealed to them the halachas of erba. A teacher should not teach a group of 3. If that's the case, and you can teach ish, where every time it says in the Torah ish, 2 people, that creates a dangerous precedent. Because you have many times in the Torah it says ish, and if you're going to teach that, chas v'shalom, you're going to learn the wrong things.
It doesn't say the girls ever.
1 second, different halacha. The chsiv ish ki yikal lekov. A person, if he curses out the 'a.b-י. If you teach ish 2 individuals, then the halacha would be from the pasuk. Only if 2 individuals sit together and they curse out the 'a.b-י, that's when they're chayiv. But if a person sits by himself and curses out the 'a.b-y, chas v'shalom, no problem. So it's a very dangerous precedent. More in addition to that, similar to that, ish ashayitin mizalin amoylach. If 2 people sit together and they together give their child, their offspring, to the avodah zarah called moylach, then you make an aveda. But if a person by himself decides he's going to give his child to the avodah zarah called moylach, not a problem. So teaching ish as 2 individuals, you can't. So the Gemarrah, I hear you, but by the avodah zarah, by cursing the 'a.b- y and by yitim mizalin chas v'shalom, yitim mizalin moylach, doing avodah zarah, the ish can be touched with something else. Zakt Elazai, Elo hano miboyle, those the times that he uses ish. Miboyle, he needs it le'rabis anachim to include the goyim. A non-Jew muzhadim al bichas Hashem v'al avodah zarah. A guy is also is warned not to chas v'shalom bench the 'a.b-y and not to chas v'shalom do avodah zarah kesar like in. So ish by like kiyakal lekov and ish asher yitim mizalin moylach. It means ish a yid, ish a goy, and the second one also ish a yid, ish a goy. So therefore, they're fine. Here in this case, it could be 2 people. So the Gemarrah you can't say that because this concept of aloyas of elva also is the goyim also have that. So the Gemarrah hainami miboyle le'abes anachim shemuzon aloyas kesol. The anachim have the same halachas and aloyas like the Yidden that a person that the goyish is not to have relationships with close relatives. So therefore, the ish of kol shei b'sodei comes to teach you ish a yid, ish a goy. So you cannot learn from here that ish or kol shei b'sodei means 3 people. Okay, that's down. So we're going to try a second pasuk. Elaminach siv, it says in the pasuk, ushmartem, and you will keep es mishmarti, my mitzvahs. Ushmartem is plural. Minimum of plural is 2. As mishmarti is 1. Mishmartim 3. Mishmarti chad. So it's 3 together. V'amar echmana. What does the pasuk say? Ushmartim es mishmarti. 3 people together. Lebilti asoyz mechukas atoy v'seila. 3 people together should not sit down and learn the halachas that you're not supposed to do. So here, see a very nice play on the words. Shmartim 2, Shmartim 1. Together you shouldn't sit together and learn the halachas. But again, it's the same problem. So then you look anywhere else, it says Shmartim, and you'll say it means 2. You have to keep Shabbos. So Shmartim. Only 2 people together have to keep Shabbos. One person, if he's by himself, no problem, don't keep Shabbos. For Shmartim it's a matzos, for Shmartim it's Shmer Shakodesh, but matzos and watching the Bais Hamikdash. All these use the word Shmartim in a plural term. And if you tie to Shmartim as 2 people, it would only mean the matzos should only have to be watched by 2. If 2 people have matzos, but if one person is by himself, he doesn't have to. He can eat chametz. And the same thing with watching the Bais Hamikdash, Shmer Shakodesh. So therefore, you can't say Shmartim means 2. What does it mean when it says you do not teach 3 people, only 2 students you can teach? In Doishim Besisas, regular halachas in Elva, you can teach as much as you want. The secret, the hidden halachas in Elva, these you cannot teach more than 2 students. Why not? My time is svali. It's a logical reason. Beitrei kiyasve. You know, in yeshiva they always used to tell us you can't have 3 chavrusas in one table. What happens 3 chavrusas in one table? Either becomes a mad bullshit session because 3 guys have a lot to talk about, or 2 guys will end up learning, and the guy is going to look like he's going to space out because he's not part of the conversation. It's the same way here. If a teacher has 2 students, what happens? 2 students are sitting in front of their teacher. So one student engages his teacher. He engages his teacher in question back and forth. The teacher said something. The student asks a question. The teacher explains, and the student asks until they figure out a certain halacha. What does the other student do at that time? Those smart was no distractions. The other student, matzli udnei, he puts his ear towards the conversation to learn the halacha. So therefore, a teacher has only 2 students. Even if he starts arguing with one student, the other student listens. He's not going to miss out any learning. But if there's 3 students, one student is going to be busy arguing with the teacher, and they're going to work at a halacha. But the 2 other students are going to miss out. Why? The other 2, they're going to discuss something else between. And they're not going to know what the teacher told the other student. And they're not going to know the exact halacha. And he's going to allow it, and they're going to come to allow a certain elva that you're allowed to marry a certain elva.
That's just by your rights.
Good question. I was going to ask that question.
Also, let's say they're going to hear something, and then they're going to hear something,
And they're going to touch something else.
Right.
So why? It's very good. It's a connected question. Why is that so? And also, we know elva is wrong. Why would you even come starting to think that a certain elva, maybe I'm allowed to, maybe this? Zati Gemarrah, kasha. If this is the way of teaching, if whenever I discuss halacha, I have more than 2 any halacha, I have more than 2 students, I discuss hilchas sukkos. If I have 5 students, and I start arguing with one student, the other one's not listening to me, they're going to miss out hilchas sukkah. Why is it not by any other halacha? Why only by those? Everything is different. The Omama said, Gezel v'aloyos, stealing, and aloyos and elva nafshe mechamdason u'misavalahem. A person desires it. Because a person desires it, therefore he's going to start touching himself. You know, my teachers used to tell me, what does it say when it says in the Torah, Lo signoivu? What's title Lo signoivu? My teachers say, Lo signoivu, don't find. Because finding a metzia, you're going to look, you're going to start saying, is this city full of goyim? Is it not full of goyim? Is it lubim? Is it you start making, why? Because someone finds like $1,000 on the street, like, you know, starts making, financing himself, he starts giving himself the answers that it's okay, it's fine, I can take it, it's not a problem. So Gezel, that attached, Lo signoivu, das nicht gefunden, don't find, because finding.
You just talk about Geneva. You just avoid Geneva.
What's that?
And
So
it's the same thing.
Gzeila and Adoyas, both stealing and Adoyas have the same issue. Adoyas is a relationship you're not allowed to have, and the Yetzer Hara put it in our head that if we can't have something, we dafke want it. So therefore, when it comes to Adois, if a student is not going to listen well, then he's going to start making his own pshatim, his own way of learning halachas. So therefore, it's only by Adois. But any other halacha is not a problem because he's going to know these halachas. He's not going to. Oh, very good. Stealing also. And with the difference between stealing and Adois is ben b'fanav and shlei b'fanav. The concept of marrying an elva is whether she's in front of you or she's not in front of you. You nafashitza, the Yetzer Hara is so strong that even if she's not in shul while you're learning with your teacher, she's not in shul, but you're still thinking about it, and because you're not listening, you're still going to come up with a wrong halacha unless you listen to the teacher's words and find out the exact halacha. But gezel, if you learn about gezel in shul with 100 people, because the gezel is the item is not in front of you, you don't desire it only when it's in front of you. Gezel b'fanav, the Alois not ben b'fanav ben b'shlon of nafashitza. He has a huge Yetzer Hara for Alois. Gezel b'fanav nafashitza, shlei b'fanav nafashitza. In front of me, he does not have a Yetzer Hara so much for the gezel. Zad Gemarrah weiter.
Wendy, could you ask him to stop?
V'loi b'maase bereshis b'shnayim. Maase bereshis, you should not teach two students. You can teach one student. How do we know that? We know it. The Tana Abana, the Abana Glen. Kisha'alno, it says in Pasuk, Kisha'alno, if you will ask, one person will ask a teacher. Kisha'alno liyom l'shoinim, he'll ask what happened in the beginning of days. So after the Gemarrah, we see Yachid Shoyel, one individual can ask. Then Shnaim Shoyel, but two individuals are not to ask. Basically, one can sit with the teacher and ask, but not two students. Yachid Yishal Adam Koyim Shifoilam, can a person ask what was going on before the world was created? Talmid Loimar is coming to teach you. You can only ask from the day that that Adam was created. So that means you can ask. You can only ask from the 6th day of creation. Adam edition was created on the 6th day. Can you not ask about the first 6 days of creation? You could ask. You can ask from the first day of bereshis of creation what was going on. But beyond that, you can't ask. Can a person ask what is above, what is below, what is beyond the borders of the world? You can only ask from one corner of the world to the other corner of the world. From one corner to the other you can ask. You cannot ask what's beyond the borders of the world. Asks another question.
Is
Now,
that implying that there are things beyond the borders of the world?
Don't ask.
so,
Elon Musk is
the
he's going to let us know.
the second pasuk, which is brought down, teaches you that from the beginning of the creation of the Shemaim until the end, on the basis of bereshis, it can mean two things. Number one, from physical borders. Number one, also from the beginning of times. If that's what the pasuk is saying, why do you need the pasuk? That's what I was going to ask. Now that you learn that you cannot ask beyond what's going on in the world. Why do we need a pasuk to tell us that you can only ask from the day of creation, first day of creation? Taki, you're right. We don't need that pasuk. We're going to use the pasuk for something else. Like Abelazar says, the Amar Abelazar, how big was he? He was from the earth until the heavens. From the day that the Eibishter created Adam and Aretz, what does it say? Pasuk Vayta, so the Adam edition was on the Aretz, and the other end was the Miktzei Hashemayim. So number one, it can't be talking about a physical height, because then it would be difficult to understand exactly how would he fit into this world physically. But if you could look at it from down here until the Shemayim is what we know, it's Tuf Kaf Shana, it's 500 years walking. how much can a person walk during a year? There's a cheshbon how much a person can walk during a day, and accordingly how during the year. If you make that calculation, then Adam Rishon would be massively tall. I mean, way beyond. He would have to, and when he goes to sleep, he would have to wrap himself around the world multiple times in order to fall asleep. So it doesn't mean physically. It means beluchnis.
Well,
And
I heard that like after the Eagle, he got.
one second. But basically, the Eibishter gave Adam Rishon a wisdom almost of the Eibishter himself, and therefore when he did the Cheret Tzadas, the Eibishter was worried. He's such a wise person. He has such rachvus amoich, and his moich is so big. He can handle so many people. He can handle everything. And he saw the Adam Rishon was able to see Atzef Kol Adayis. He was able to see up to the end of the world. It says he saw David HaMelech, and he saw everything. So Eibishter was worried. Now, if he now ate Cheret Tzadas, he has even more wisdom. He's going to be just like the Eibishter, and the Eibishter made him smaller, like the Gemarrah is going to say. But the idea is not a physical height; it means more a spiritual height, the knowledge that he had. So Adam Rishon was min ha'aretz l'Elikia. Shneimar lemin hayom hashabar l'Elikim Adam la'aretz or miktzeh hashamayim. Yekiven shetzarachem because Adam Rishon made an aveda with Chet Etzadas. And Niach Kadosh Baruch Yadav Olav, the Eibishter put his hands on Adam Rishon or Miyatoi, and he made him smaller and put him down in the world. Shneimar, like it says in Pasuk, Ocher v'kedem tzatan. The Eibishter created the Adam Rishon Ocher back and forth, first time and a second time. First time he created him much larger, and the second time much smaller. Vatosh is like א.ב-י when he put his hands on him and he made him smaller. Okay? Amar Rabbi Rav Adam Rishon Masayif Adam Matzayif Oila. Rabbi Rav says that Adam Rishon was not Miktzeh Hashemayim or Miktzeh Hashemayim, which is basically two ends of the world. Sorry, Mina Aretz L'Elikia. He says, Rabbi Rav says Adam Rishon was Masayif Oila Matzayif from one end to the other end. So it's different length. Shneimar Minei Mashabar L'Elikim Adam L'Aretz Miktzeh Hashemayim Miktzeh Hashemayim from one kotzer to the other kotzer, not from Aretz L'Elikia. Kim Shzachin Kadosh Baruch Yadav Olav Miyatoi. When Eibishter put his hands on it, he got smaller. Shneimar Vatosh like א.ב-י the same pasuk. Yache Kashi Koyadad. We how tall was he? How physically? How tall was he? Or how, not physically, but spiritually? How tall was he? And with the Gemara Idi v'Chadashah, it's the same Shiur that Adam Rishon Mina Aretz L'Elikia on the two sides is the same Shiur. Physically,
Doesn't it say
it's
they
not.
buried him, they folded him over to bury him or something?
I don't know.
In the Mars Mapela, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So state.
Could be.
100 amos.
Had to fold him multiple times in order to, if he was that big. Yeah. Even.
No, it says. It's
Yeah.
brought down that it was folded in order to be buried.
Okay. Anyway, so it's physically can't be that big. We'll talk about spiritual, but that's how big it was. So I was finding funny, like it says, you shouldn't teach Maase bereshis more than one student. And then Mother goes and speaks about Maase bereshis, and we're learning it, everyone together. So obviously that's not what it's talking about, but it's. Sagt die Gemarrah weiter. 3 more minutes, sagt die Gemarrah weiter. V'amar Rabbi Rav asad v'amnim b'rishon. A few things were created on the first day. There is if anyone understands astrology, there's an interesting thesis here on Dafid Beis on with Aleph on top. It speaks about the stars and installations, and exactly if certain medrash says it's all in one place, it's all different places. I didn't really get it, but it's an interesting thing. The first part of Tosfos speaks about. Yeah, the first part of Tosfos
Next year.
teaches you how do we know that the distance between all the is Tuf Shana. So that's the first part of Tosfos. Listen. Mahalach Tuf Shana is 500 years. Shenemar, it says Shakai She'omar. What was it? Says the word Shakai. What is the Eibish's name? Shakai. She'omar died. The Eibish said it's enough. Shelahachiv Yoisel. Not to make it big. Shenemar Anike El Shakai Pneu Vei Ani Shamati Dai Loim. I said that it's enough for the world. I command you Adam Rishon that you should continue. You should procreate. Okay, very nice. But how does Shakai tell us that it's 500 years? How do we know that the word from the Aretz L'Elikia is 500 years to walk? He learns it from the word Shin Dalad Yud. And Shin Dalad Yud is 3 oises. Shin Dalad Yud. So if we don't use the letters, if you only use the letters that you write, The shin is shin yud nun. If you use kach yud nun, lamet sof, vav dalet, these are the letters that you don't write in the word shakai. The gematria of that is hanela min shakai v'yal tov kishona. That is the gematria is 500. Kach shemaita Menachem me'abazil. That's what I heard from my teacher Menachem me'abazil. That this is how you learn the tzoyfa oilam atzoyfa. It's a gematria. It's a cute little gematria. Cute, not so. I'm not saying cute. It's a gematria.
It's about what's not written.
Yeah. What you gotta, and that is again, it's a whole thing, but brings different questions about the. We said that the world is that he was standing from one, but it calculates the basically like this. If you say that from one edge of the world to the other edge of the world is the same thing, correct? What one edge to the other one edge is the same. We said it's the same shear than this and this. Take a ball, cut the ball in half, put it on the table, measure between here and here, and then take the ball and spread it out. Obviously, the thing that goes around must be wider than this. Yeah, makes sense? Generic wise. Again, they take a ball. If you take a ball and cut it in half, and you put one half on the table, if you measure from the radius from one edge of the ball to the other edge of the ball, not the radius, from one edge to the other edge, it's a certain measurement. If you now take a tape measure and go around, it's going to be more. So how could this and this be the same? And this is obviously much less than, because. Anyways, it explains the whole thing. It's difficult. It goes with the mashal. Explains its own way. It's way too much for one night, and way too much for my limited understanding too. I'm gonna leave it at that. Huh?
And sent it to the house.
Yeah. So it's
Send it down and you get equal.
So if you sit with him and learn the what's it called, we'll
That's what I'm
understand
saying.
it. Yeah, you
Repetitions.
help them mashal. Bring some engineering coding into it because it's quiet. The mashal is. You can take it in a good ride in this. Okay, let's see if we can finish our tool. We'll start Ma'alev. 10 things were created on the first day. 10 things were created on the first day. Heaven, earth, toy v'voyu. What's toy v'voyu? So Rashi in the Chumash says emptiness. Oy v'choshech, light and darkness, luach hamayim, and wind and water, midas yoyim, the length of the night and the length of the day. Shemaim ba'ad, chsiv bereshis ba'ad l'kim shemaim v'za'otz. Clear. The Eibusher created shemaim ba'ad. What does it say afterwards? V'ruach l'kim. Toy, sorry, soy v'voyer, soy v'voyer chsiv, v'a'otz soy v'voyer. The word soy, the Eibusher created the concept of soy v'voyer. And the Gemarrah later on is going to tell exactly what it is. Oy v'choshech chsiv, v'choshech al pnei, there was darkness. Oy d'chsiv, v'yem l'kim yoyed. There should be light in the first day. Ruach hamayim, there was a luach that was on top of the water, so the 'a-b-י created the luach and the 'a-b-י created the mayim. What exactly are those things? We'll have to wait for next time.